All right, welcome everyone, back from lunch. So I've got 5 fantastic panelists over here, all masters of curating and enhancing experiences. I've got a bonanza opening question for you. I'll start with Dalia over there. Dalia, the word experience gets thrown around quite a bit. What does it mean to you? How do we articulate experience in terms of, is it emotional? Is it a sensory experience? Is it a story? What's it to you?
Well, experience is a very important part of design, right? And to me, experience is about creating memory. Whether that memory comes from the emotion, to me, emotion is very important. What's the emotion you feel entering the place? But to create emotion, your senses have to work. What's the smell that you memorize? What's the feel when you hold a texture? All of that creates experience.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Rachel, how about yourself? What does experience mean to you?
As Dalia said, it really is everything. We are really providing the backdrop for the guest experience. So all the players and stakeholders and everyone comes into play to create this sense of place and, as Dalia said, the emotion of what you feel when you're actually in the spaces.
All right, so there's a story being told. Dharmali, how about yourself?
For us and for me, experience is that what we pay, right? Because the traveling, the highest expense now is not how luxury is the place or the accommodation, but on the experience. And personally, I'm travel for experience, not for stay. Yeah, so that is a changing shift from the previous understanding of the hotel is where you stay in something more luxurious, but now is what is the experience is paid. Yeah.
Okay, so would that be an emotional thing for you, or would that be sensory?
More emotional.
Emotional?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mira, how about yourself?
So when we talk about experience, there's this thread of storytelling linked to an experience. It's an emotion, and it's an individual experience. You might have an experience when you enter a certain space, and I would have another experience when I enter the same space. So for me, authenticity of experience is more important than having the experience itself, and like translating it into spaces, sensory has to be linked to it. So how the material feels, what it makes you feel when you touch it, when you lay sight on it, is very important to carry that memory with you when you leave the space.
So I feel there's a little bit of memory with everyone, so that experience is really burned in your memory. Kristina, how about yourself?
I definitely think, for me personally, experience is how it makes me feel. So it's very emotional, and it doesn't matter about the space. It's what you take away from a place where you've been. So yeah, I guess it's more emotional.
So I think we were just having a conversation earlier. Rachel, you mentioned that, each one could be at the same place but having completely different emotional experiences. You were talking about the trends in luxury today, in luxurious hotels. Could you tell us a little bit about where you see that going?
I think, there are so many different experiences that we're all looking for. You can go and have a barefoot experience and be almost not living in a designed environment, but that's one experience. And then you want to, next week you'll want a work trip and you want to be in a high octane kind of buzzy atmosphere. So we're all looking for very different experiences, for very different needs. You can't really just say it's niche anymore.
And so now you've got Dalia sitting right next to you, and obviously a lot of her development has to do with heritage. Dalia, is there a way of sort of bringing this together, or where it's still quite profound for a global audience, while still staying true to heritage for Diriyah?
Yes, definitely, and that's what we do. And I worked with Rachel and Kristina in several projects. The most important thing in Diriyah is just to be true to it. So there is this authenticity and honesty that has to be felt. And that on its own is a luxurious experience. If a person comes and feel the sense of place, that is unique. You can't come to Diriyah and just say, well, I'm not sure, I'm in Diriyah or somewhere else. And working with both local and international designers, we work really hard to bring this sense of place and blend it with luxury and create a different narrative, different story in each space you enter.
So this might be a bit of a controversial question, obviously, because you got Rachel over here from London, and then you've got Kristina, who's based most of the time in the UAE. Do you feel that any particular studio from any part of the world sort of struggles more to understand your heritage and what has to be delivered?
I think it's usually the starting point when we kick off. But we in-house created very clear design guidelines. And when we do our kickoff with all the designers, we really dive into that and try to explain it from our end so we are all on the same page. And what helps a lot when international designers come and visit Diriyah. And that's where they have the aha moment. They understand it by experience, and they even go back and say, well, we want to add one more thing. There is one thing that we didn't feel it when we were working from our offices abroad, and now we really, really feel it. So it's always an interesting experience and a pleasure to work with all designers.
So inviting them there is critical.
Yes.
Excellent. Kristina, you've obviously delivered projects all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
How does your approach change when delivering for the Middle East or Saudi Arabia in particular?
Well, Saudi Arabia has a real pride in its culture, and I think, you know, just with Dalia and talking about the experience we had there, you know, I think Mira mentioned it as well. That authenticity is absolutely critical. I don't think, you know, there's any difference about designing something in another location. It's really all about context and what we're trying to actually do and try and create something unique in all instances. So I think for us, it's about understanding a place, it's understanding what we're trying to get out, what the client wants, what the brand is. You know, I think, you know, the amount of ways we can use a triangle these days is amazing, you know. So I think designers have really mastered that in terms of trying to get this authentic look. But I don't think there's any difference. I think it's more about the context and really researching and understanding that.
Is Saudi Arabia easier from an authenticity standpoint because it's got so much to offer than the rest of the Middle East, or am I being biased here because we're in Jeddah?
Actually, you know, we're so fortunate. We have an office in Riyadh, so we have definitely Amani and some of our designers in that office. They bring that checkpoint on authenticity, on the storyline, and I think that really helps our teams balance what is required from a standpoint here in Saudi. So they're almost our custodians, you know. When designers want to just do anything, they can bring us back to, you know, Saudi Arabia and what's expected. But I think having the office really does help us, you know, and it really does help us checkpoints and things, the way we do things.
So local talent is critical.
Yeah, I think local talent, and then at the same time, that local talent gets nourished with new ideas of how to do things, and it's that collaboration that what we try to instill in our office is to have this balance. And you know, I really believe authenticity, integrity in terms of the design. You know, it's always a challenge, and you know, we have an Asian person working on a Saudi project, but they also need to understand the context. So Yeah, it's been a great learning curve, but definitely having our team here in Saudi has really helped bring about a lot of those that knowledge, right?
Super. Mira, I know you're flying a lot,
Yeah.
and next stop is Doha. How do you align, the DNA of the brand in each of these spaces? Obviously, you feel like you've got to wear multiple hats.
So when we're building the brand identity or infusing it into a project, we first look at the brand ethos. And the brand ethos is translated into the DNA into experiences. And as we mentioned previously, for some people could be sensory or emotional and touch and feel guidelines by the brand. The second layer is the client expectations. Who am I building this development for? Who is my demographics? What experiences they're seeking out of this development or this hospitality project? So here is where the contextual layering can be plugged in. It's linked to the demographics. Let's say I'm designing for a younger generation, whether in Saudi or in Qatar or anywhere else in the region. So we look at our demographics and what cultural values of the region we can plug in and link into this development. It could be curated art by local artists, environmental material linked to the region, and this brings a sense of this place to the branded development. It's not just only branded at a global platform, it's related to that specific location, and that makes it more of a value of a development than it's a standard branded resi only.
So we obviously have Dharmali that's sitting right next to you, and we talk about immersive experiences, etc. Dharmali, we were talking about your space in Alula. Could you tell me a little bit about how Banyan tree sort of goes out of their way to make sure that they evoke this emotional experience?
As you know, the Banyan tree essence of the tagline of our brand is sanctuary for the senses. From there, we have our brand pillars about community, about nature, about romance or intimacy, and about well-being. So we craft based on these 4 brand pillars. And after that, we translated into design guideline and guest experience guideline. We use the local community as part of the strong influence for us. We based on the Asian wisdom. We are Asian-based operator. We based on Asian wisdom, but we also celebrate the local culture because, again, the center of place is very important. And we craft with the nature rhythm. Doesn't really matter that whether that is a dry season or rainy season, but also we elevated all the understated. So for us, the luxury doesn't mean that all the polish and bling bling material. So that is how we craft the design. And at the end, the expressions must be genuine, pure, and real. So it's not pretentious. Yeah. So that's how do we create the...
Excellent. And obviously, Rachel, you work with a lot of prestigious brands as well. I'm guessing people like Banyan Tree across from you. If you had to probably sort of pick on one thing that Saudi needs to sort of focus on in terms of experiences, what would that be?
Based on the culture and the nature, because Saudi is not just one everywhere desert, right? What the impression if you do not know Saudi, but Saudi you have mountain, you have desert, you have Red Sea. So based on whatever the destination
offers.
Yeah, it's not only the nature, but also the community, the local culture is all different. Yeah.
Excellent. Rachel, how about yourself?
Yeah, it comes down to that. We do a lot of the research in the location. One thing over the past 4 or 5 years of working in this market is the richness, as you allude to, of the differences across the country of Saudi Arabia. Who would have thought that Abha, with the mountains and the coffee, it's been a revelation. And each time we take the brand, the signature elements, what they're talking about, and then we look at the social, historical, the cultural, and then we build a narrative for that destination and for that brand. So whilst we are drawing from the same inspiration for each brand in the same location, the result of the brand will change the design and our response to it.
We spoke a little bit earlier, and you were talking about, obviously a lot of these hotels coming online virtually at the same time. Do you feel that there's going to be any impact to it, or do you feel that they needed to be staggered of some sort?
I think it must have been quite challenging for the ownerships and the organizations to see the same images come up on every presentation. But I think as we've all been working in the region, there's a lot more resources now available. People are looking at them very critically, how you can take the pattern, change it, change the scale, use it in a different way, but really keep that identity and sense of place.
Excellent. Dalia, I know, and Diriyah got labeled a Giga project about a year ago, and there's a lot of research that's gone through about how to make sure that your supply chain runs efficiently, because it's a lot to cover. It's right in the middle of this middle of Saudi Arabia. What are some of the biggest opportunities or challenges that you see being in Diriyah and the pace at which it needs to move at to deliver?
Well, because of the scale, as you said, I think it's both an opportunity and a challenge at the same time. The opportunity is, as designers, you are building a mini city which has cultural projects, residential, mixed use, hospitality, with amazing scale. It's a beautiful project rooted in culture, and you do that once in a lifetime. You build an opera house once in a lifetime, an arena. So it's really an amazing opportunity. The challenges, however, is the timeline, and as you said, supply chain, and how do we finish with great quality and achieve the expectation with the limited time we have. And it's a challenge that we live every day. And we live it day by day, and we are overcoming the challenges day by day. And I think the designers who worked with us knows that, and I know I have some designers here also that we worked with, and we are all on the same page, and none of the designers we worked with failed us. They are all doing an amazing job to face these challenges and face the timeline.
A tricky question for you. I know all of Saudi is going at a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Are there enough companies here to deliver on all of it going on at the same time?
That's a very tricky question, I have to say. But yes, there is. And the reason is that also we are enforcing international consultants, suppliers to open their offices here. And that helped a lot. Like, for example, Kristina opened an office here. A lot of suppliers opened their office here just to support Vision 2030 and to ensure that we deliver on time.
Thank you. Kristina, I'll come back to you. If you had to pick a defining element that is Saudi Arabia's identity, because I'm assuming that authenticity really needs to be kept across the board, what would that be, and how would our audience recognize it in the next 5 years when they come to Saudi?
It's really hard. I mean, like we talked about, there's a lot of different experiences, and we're all sort of used to doing a lot of luxury projects. But I think in this space, in terms of where Saudi Arabia is now, there's so much diversity in projects, and some of the projects that we're currently working on are very themed. So they're very experience orientated, but not necessarily about Saudi hospitality. So this sort of brings another sort of element to what we're doing. It really makes designers actually feel like, phew, it's time to sort of think out of the box and create something new. So, but if we're looking at purely Saudi, for me, I think it's really looking at bringing the outside in and the inside out, and sort of trying to sort of create a design that in the future is a little more sort of, internal and external, and very culturally rooted, I guess, as well. So, it's a tough question, but I kind of I like the fact that we as designers are being challenged now into designing different type of projects. So what we're all expected to see, there is a whole lot of new things coming that will just blow your mind. And this is the only place in the world that I think is doing that, and it's coming and it's happening. And, we're part of that, and I'm very proud that our office has that opportunity to really create a different experience, and that's beyond the operator. And I guess that's all part of that 2030 vision. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been speaking to so many people, and they say the action is here. The Middle East, the action's here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening around the world, but as you said, you've been given that freedom to go try something.
Yeah, and especially in that theme hotels. I mean, that's really blows your mind, and we're super excited how that's coming along as well. And that, just like I said before, it gives us and designers a relief, of doing sort of luxury projects. We love our luxury projects, but sometimes it's nice to see that there's this diversification. And if you're looking at this younger market and what they're looking, and also an opportunity to bring people from abroad to come here to experience these different themed hotels as well, which would be quite interesting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, watch this space.
Mira, just a quick question on residential, just so we just move away from luxury hotels for a bit. You're obviously at the heart of sort of curating some of these experiences. Are there any particular design elements that are transforming residential spaces today to make that experiential?
Yeah, I think there's a global shift to designing spaces that matter, that have an infused lifestyle in its design identity. So we're leaning more into designing spaces that are curated for the lifestyle of the end user. So I believe us designers, we are the guardians of the quality of life of the society and the urban fabric. So designing spaces that are focused on wellness, lifestyle, and the well-being of its end user is one of the future forward key elements. And as Kristina mentioned, and this in-out space experience is very important for the well-being of the end user. So yeah.
So I'm glad you spoke about well-being. I think we have Techno Gym over there. We had a breathing exercise at the top.
We have collaborated a lot with Techno Gym. Yeah.
So how much is well-being taking up as part of the hotel experience? I'll just put it out to anyone, because it used to be this tiny gym in the basement somewhere, and you've got a couple of treadmills. Where's that today? Anyone?
And for me, it's no more, it's just the gym. It's like if you're designing a master plan or a community, it's the public realm, what it offers. An outdoor gym experience, a play area for the kids and the families to engage, a co-working space for the younger generation, which is more focused on their work balance lifestyle. So building such spaces is more focused on the holistic approach of a well-being and lifestyle, rather just it's being fit or just hitting the gym.
Fair enough. Dharmali, you wanted to say something?
Yes, we start with spa 35 years ago. We are quite well known for our Banyan Tree Spa. Yeah. But for us, we have 6 to 8 different brands, and all have different wellness component. But probably from maybe 10, 15 years ago, a spa in the hotel is not something unusual. Everybody claimed to have a spa, even a few just massage room, right? So what we do for the past 5 years, we convert what they call the wellness into more holistic well-being. Our brand, even like say our Banyan Tree brand, we already have the offshoots of Banyan Tree Vea, which is focused more serious on the well-being. And we are not looking into what is going to be inside the hotel or the resort itself, but how to bring the well-being experience to the outside of the hotel. So that is something part of the experience the guests to looking in. Yes.
And Rachel, do you feel that obviously, Kristina spoke about bringing the outside in and the inside out, and so is Dharmali. Obviously, we've got a very hot climate for the most part of the year. What does that mean to you in terms of wellness and sort of designing for it?
Well, every opportunity, every opportunity we get, we really look at this inside-outside, blurring those boundaries. So we really enjoy the collaborative nature on projects with the landscape architect and the architect, as well as the interiors, to create this holistic space. You talk about well-being, it's through everything you do now in a hotel. It's what you eat, what pillows you have, what smell they give you, you can choose. So they're looking at being very mindful, looking after your mind as well as your physical well-being in these resorts. But definitely this blending of spaces is very important, as much as possible.
Rachel, we spoke a little bit earlier about, depending on why you're actually coming to the kingdom, right? You could be coming to the resort, you could be coming for work, you could be doing many things, and as a result, you might choose different properties to do different things. And I guess to some, wellness is really high up, right? Is that gym really equipped? I know this place has all the latest techno gym equipment, but just generally, I feel like, because my wife does that, right? She's like, all right, that's the gym, we're in. This is the one that we're going to. So do you feel that it's equally important for resorts as it is for the business hotels?
For sure. A lot of people, the gym is just part of their daily life now. And a lot of people, when they're at resorts, they look at it as a time to actually improve their physical health. They might go to the gym every day and they build in a different routine to their life. But yes, the gym, so for instance at Najuma, the gym has one of the most amazing views. It's all glazed, and then you can open the doors, go out onto the terraces to the sea. But that is a really part of it. Outside gym areas now are very common and being really utilized in resorts because they have the space as much as anything. But it is very important, the ability to exercise in your room. Bathrooms and areas are being bigger. You could request I'm a keen rower, for instance, and they put the piece of equipment in your suite for your whole 2-week stay.
Brilliant.
So hotels are enabling individuals to create their own experience as well from a menu, from a list of items in the luxury sector.
Oh, brilliant. All something to look forward to in your own hotels, I guess. Dalia, I'm just going to take it to you. I know I keep bringing up authenticity a fair bit, but Diriyah is at the heart of sort of redefining what that means, both for a global audience, etc. If someone were to come to Diriyah, what are the signals they should be looking at to see, oh yeah, that's really authentic, other than the landscape?
Well, coming to Diriyah, I think the first thing people would feel, and I always hear, is the feel of warmth. And when you say warmth, It comes from people. It comes from your journey inside Diriyah, and it comes from the materiality as well. If you look at the materials that they have in Diriyah and the textures, and building those layers, it's all part of the experience of anyone visiting Diriyah. And just one point on bringing the exterior in. This is, for example, because of the hot weather that we have, what our ancestors used to do is build around courtyards and think about light and shadow, and how do you bring the outdoor in, but within your weather circumstances, which is now defined as sustainability, correct? And all of that, when you come to Diriyah and you visit this great warmth and authenticity, you will walk away with guaranteed memory of texture and warmth that you felt in the space.
You know, you bring up warmth and texture. I bumped into Jazeera Paints at Dubai Design Week, and they said they designed a paint for Diriyah
True.
that sort of mimicked the old way of construction with straw in it.
True.
I mean, that's tremendous.
True. They have done an amazing job. Actually, we had a meeting with them, I think, a week ago or 10 days ago, with a lot of samples, just imitating the mud render,
Right.
and how does that bring, and one with the straw and one without. And they do a lot of tests, and a lot of the suppliers we deal with actually do this extra mile, get inspired, and give us plenty of samples that works with our vision.
That's a tremendous effort. I saw it; it blew me away.
Yeah.
Kristina, you know, obviously between the authenticity, global, etc., there's a lot of storytelling. Now, I know everyone hates to hear these words, but you know, value engineering comes out quite a bit. How do you balance storytelling and commercial viability in this conversation?
I think at the end of the day, I mean, if we have a great project, doesn't matter which star rating, they shouldn't really have to worry. They work hand in hand. So if we are able to understand the brand and what the brand is trying to achieve, I think we can always meet that budget. But budgets are always a sensitive topic. And if we are able to work with those budgets from the onset, I think there's no problem going down the line. But definitely, I think more and more there's an emphasis on lowering budgets, even if we manage to meet them.
Yeah.
So that's a new one. You know, sometimes when we work with some of our clients, we do meet the budgets, and then it's like, why did you meet them? You know, so it's where the budget came from. But I think it's always being true to the brand, true to the project, its level of whether it's luxury or entry level type of project. We just have to work as a team with the client. So I don't really think there's a problem with that, you know, because there's a lot of checks and balances along the way.
Yeah, and Mira, do you feel that you see the same thing in some of the stuff that you curate with residential, or do you feel that no, where it's actually moving upwards as opposed to more commercial projects that are
Yeah.
probably getting pressed downward?
Sometimes we start at a certain budget and we end up at a more elevated budget, and maybe at sometimes at a lower budget. But when we're designing branded resi or first entry, let's say, we always focus on the key element, and the key element could be that specific material that creates the experience. For instance, in Diriyah, maybe that mud look or that textured rendered paint, and for another brand, it's that opulent, very vigorous, strong marble. And if we put our money on these focal elements and the rest is just complementing the space, you can achieve the budget and both the experience and the brand identity.
Are you seeing any materiality or trends that you're most excited about moving forward?
I mean, now with the latest technologies that are happening in materiality, like how a material could react to weather or to natural circumstances, I think it's very interesting, like especially stone. We have now latest technologies that you can have crushed stone that mimics the real stone but still has the value of a stone. I think we are reaching a stage where materiality it's reaching a very high and interesting level in detail. Yeah.
Excellent. Because there were a few, I think there was a marble company a
Yeah.
little bit earlier. I mean, the quarries look fantastic.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. Rachel, I'm just going to take this to you. I'm trying to, obviously you're based in London and there's a lot of aligning between client, brand, local culture. What are some of the things that excites you most about working in the Middle East, other than, obviously this freedom to have some exciting projects? Is there something that, you sort of go, well, this is the part that I really have to navigate through?
No, I think every project, as we all know, they're very complex. From the client, we often talk about, we have two clients. We have the ownership and we have the operator, and we're constantly the people. We're trying to get everyone to get to an alignment, to an agreement, and move forward so all the stakeholders are in one place. I think what has been so exciting, as I mentioned earlier, is really understanding Saudi Arabia and what it can offer. I mean, I don't think any of us from outside growing up in London had any sense of what's here. And I think we're very fortunate in London. We get to work and craft projects around the world, and that's actually what makes it very interesting. We're in Morocco one day, then tomorrow I'm in Tunisia, then I'm working on a project in China. And I think it's being able to bring that, as Kristina said earlier, that international experience and what's happening globally in the world of hotel designs, and then bringing that with us, and then drawing on what is local to create truly unique projects.
Do you feel that at any point in time, this is probably a tricky one as well, that collaboration tends to be, not as collaborative when you're talking to certain clients, where they're like, no, this is the way we're going regardless of the experience. In the Middle East particularly, do you feel that?
No, I don't find the process confrontational at all.
Okay.
It's constantly discussion, understanding. I think when we started Diriyah Gate, I don't think we appreciated at the time the level of detail and what was being looked for by the ownership, by the director. And then other projects, the hotel, and it really is swings and roundabouts between the players. You're constantly trying to get them to agree.
Sure.
And to bring that balance. And some projects, the client holds the cards, and some the operator, and it does swing according to the market. But most of the time, we actually all end up agreeing and bringing beautiful projects to play.
Thank you. Dharmali, obviously local materials play a huge role. Banyan tree is all about the senses. Is there anything in the design ethos that is specifically set for Saudi projects? I know you have one in Alula and you've got a few coming. Is there something that's specific for Banyan tree? We say, this is Saudi Arabia for us.
Yeah, we always try to use the local material as much as possible, and not necessarily new material. For example, Saudi have a lot of stone, from granite to limestone base, so we can make use of that. And sometimes this is creating dilemma. You use the natural stone, you destroy the hill, the environment. You use the artificial stone, it's not proven that there can be last long and so on. But we need to balance. But we are open to all the options, from recycle, upcycle, natural to the artificial material everywhere in the world.
Excellent. So we're obviously coming really close to the end of our panel. Dalia, I want to ask, as a closing question to most of you, if I think, we spoke about what is an experience to you, sensory or emotional, Could you recall any place, project that actually moved you, whether it's in Saudi or outside Saudi? And we'll just sort of run through and maybe give Kristina's got lots more time to think about this. But Dalia, is there anything that, from your experience, had that kind of emotion for you anywhere in the world?
So other than Diriyah and
Yes, of
Jeddah
course.
Balad, right?
Of course, definitely other than Diriyah.
Because these two places have special place in my heart. But I would say one of the places that really moved me is the Opera House in Oslo, designed by Snohetta. When we were doing actually our opera house, we went there and to see how it was built. And it's amazing. The building is basically blended in Oslo, and it becomes part of the city, part of the experience. And they have designed it in a way that the roof is walkable as well. So you go there and you get immediately immersed once you enter, which is amazing. The feeling you have, the welcomeness you have, because they are basically saying everyone is welcome to experience art. And I remember walking there, there was this one moment that I saw people waving from the outside to the people inside. And I paused and looked and I asked Snohetta team, what's happening here? So what they have done is they designed this window to the workshop inside where the craftsmanship happened. They fixed all the clothes, things for performance, and it immediately became a conversation between the public and art. And everyone who passes gets knowledge in a way or another, which to me was fascinating. This experience was very different than any place I went to in the world. And I think if we can design spaces that gives you that emotion and you walk away with the knowledge as well, that is incredible.
Superb. Thank you for sharing. Rachel, how about yourself? Anything that moved you?
Yeah, I think it's more of a general habit that we have going on our vacations in work travel, which is obviously, we are talking about the different things. We love going to sort of major cities of the world, and then we find the smallest, tiniest guest house that's run by a family, truly authentic, and you almost go through the gates away from the city into something truly authentic, and that's where I find I'm most at ease and feel like I'm understanding a city.
Thank you. Dharmali, outside of Banyan Tree, is there anything that's moved you?
I want to go back to Alula. Right?
Okay.
Alula is not the first desert project we have. We have in UAE, in Ras Al Khaimah, and so on. But when I started off that project, I know that I dig up the history. I found out more and more and more, and how old the history going back. And I keep asking, can we drive all the Jordan to Petra and to compare to this thing? Because the same thing is Southeast Asia, all the ancient history is all linked. And then you look at the ancient monument and link, then you want to how to connect the dot between that. So, yeah, that part of the history. But of course, nature also many. Yeah.
All right, so Alula it is. All right. Mira, how about yourself?
There's quite a lot of beautiful spaces and places that I've been to, but one of the places that when you asked the question, the first place popped into my mind, it was, it's in Da Nang. It's a flagship of Intercontinental, and it's like a resort that is on the mountain, and it's beautiful how they have utilized vertical living throughout the mountain, where you're connected to the highest top of the mountain and to the bay through a vertical funicular where you can move from one level to another and experience nature from different levels and layers. I believe it was a beautiful, immersive experience of a location.
That sounds stunning.
Yeah, so you should visit it.
All right. Kristina, how about yourself?
Okay, I think I shared it with the panel before, but recently I took 5 of my team members to Kenya, and we are helping someone who owns a small lodge, and we went there to go and have a look at the lodge to help them fix this lodge up. And the lodge is just so basic, there is nothing there. But actually, I think we arrived and they gave us this most amazing welcome. We went on safari drives with the wildlife photographers and so forth. And that whole experience of nature and being in this really small camp was amazing. And the send-off, we had this Maasai tribe come in, do a dance for us, and and we didn't even care about what the interior of the place looked like. And I think it was that welcome, and that would that resonated, and I think that would make us come back. And I think you always think the hospitality of the way people treat you and make you feel inclusive into their kind of environment. And whilst there was nothing there, it didn't matter about what it was. The bed was comfortable. We managed to have a shower. We had a bathroom. That was good enough. But the actual people side of that experience was phenomenal. So I would say in the last few months, that was the one that resonated the most.
Thank you for sharing. All right. Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Please give a round of applause to our panelists,
Thank you.
the masters of enhancing experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.